Akabo wa Akatu. This is Daku, and today in morning meditation, the subject of dependency came up. And I took notes because many times we meditate and it absorbs down into our subconscious and we don't keep it on the forefront of our minds. Now, many of you don't know, and I probably haven't shared this, I don't think, maybe once or twice, but I'm in the Satayu. And according to the Akawu, and the Satayu is much like a monk in that he spends a lot of time reflecting and meditating. But the Satayu also, according to the Akawu, hesitates before he or she speaks, because he or she realizes that up is also down, east is also west, hot is also cold. Life is filled with contradictions. But I want to begin by focusing on my notes, because I want to make sure you get what I got in morning meditation, okay, about dependency. It says that dependency in and of itself is not necessarily a negative thing. The negative and positive aspects of dependency should be quite obvious if we give it just a little thought. A child must depend on his or her parents for clothes, shelter, food, and education. This dependency lasts until a child reaches maturity. Now, how long it takes to reach maturity depends on the effectiveness of the family system, the environment in which the child lives, as well as the child's learning style and ability. Now, before reaching maturity, the child looks to the parents for authorization and validation. Let me repeat that part. Before reaching maturity, the child looks to the parents for authorization and validation. Some of y'all smart ones, y'all already know where we're going with this. Now, she or he not only needs the parents for daily needs, but they also seek permission for most of what they want to do, what they desire to do. They seek permission for that. If a child wants to go camping, for example, that child will ask Ma or Dad, can I go camping? That's easy. That's just a simple question, right? Now, the parents' answer will determine whether the child goes camping or not. It's just that simple. But once the child reaches a certain age and maturity, the child, which is now an adult, makes a statement. He or she says, Ma, Dad, I'm going camping. See you in a couple days. Now, in a healthy family system, the dependency of the adult child doesn't go away altogether. It simply changes form. Okay? So, where once the child was dependent on the parent for all daily needs and permission, now the adult child depends on the parent for wise counsel and advice. Okay? So it's not that dependency completely goes away. So instead of saying yes or no, you can't go, or you can go, the parent in his or her new role may say something like, okay, just protect yourself from wild animals and the elements. And don't forget your first aid skills that we taught you. Key word, we taught you. Okay? In this example, you can see the different levels of dependency. Dependency in a healthy system is a great thing. The parents or authority figures have the best interests of the child at heart. They would never intentionally bring harm to the child, and the child can completely trust the parents to do what is right. That's the positive side of dependency. Now, dependency, just like everything else, has a positive and a negative side. How much time do I have? It has a positive and a negative side. The negative side of dependency, that same child that in that example, the one we just read you, that grew up in a positive and a healthy family system, let's put that same child in an unhealthy family system. First of all, let's make it a single parent home. Don't matter whether it's man or woman. Okay? And let's say that single parent is a crackhead. Alright? So now, I don't know if any of y'all know, most of y'all should know, we all knew somebody coming up in the 80s and 90s, if you're that old, that was a crackhead. You know that many of the crackheads spent all day and night, every day, looking for that next high. Doing what it took to get high. So if they had to go out there and become a prostitute, male or female, serving men, male or female, then that's what they did to get the money, to get the next fix, to get high. Now, a child growing up in that type of unhealthy system is basically teaching him or herself. That child that was in the healthy family was getting everything from the parents, including education. But this child over here that is growing up in this unhealthy family system, their example is nothing but that street life. Okay? And so, yeah, they may get some street knowledge, and they may get some more wisdom than some other child at an earlier age. That child is still vulnerable because it doesn't have the protection of the parent. Now, we should be saying parents, but in a negative family or unhealthy family system, you got one parent. Okay? Now, I know that's controversial. I know a lot of people don't like when I say that. A lot of people were raised by one parent. A lot of people are raising as a single parent their children. But the most ideal, in the way that our ancestors taught us, the most ideal way to raise a child is in a balanced situation. That is a healthy family. So once you remove one part of the twin halves that are the same essence, once you remove one part of that, now you got a situation where it's not balanced. So no matter how wise you are as an adult that is trying to raise your child without that balanced situation, something's going to be missing. No matter how smart, no matter how educated, no matter how spiritual you are, something's going to be missing out of that equation, unless you have an extended family that's very involved in the rearing of that child. Now, why are we even talking about family? We're talking about dependency. Now, we're basically talking about systems, whether they're healthy or unhealthy. That child that has the parent that's a crackhead, that single parent that's a crackhead, that's responsible for feeding the child, clothing the child, providing shelter for the child, educating that child. That parent is sick. That parent is ill. So in that case, it's not a good thing for the child to be dependent, not become, but in a natural state, you are dependent on your parents for everything. But your parent in this case is ill, is sick. So we are basically making a comparison between systems, the family system in these examples, and the system in which we live. If this child cannot depend on his or her parent, then, because the parent is sick, that is, then we shouldn't be depending on the system in which we live, that we know is anti-black, we know is anti-humanity, we know is anti-nature. The system in which we live is the people that are the rulers of this system are sick. Now, as we said earlier, the Akawu says that the Satayu hesitates before he or she speaks because he knows and she knows that life is filled with contradiction. So it's hard to say anything because we realize that no matter what we say, now you're going to go off onto what we said. Whether we say that the goddamn white man is the devil, now we're going to spend weeks and months and years talking about, well, he can't be the devil means this, the devil means that. Stop with the slick talk. If we say, okay, the white man is sick, so we can't follow the white man because he's sick. Well, he can't be sick because he got money and nobody else has money and he got houses and land and we got to all pay taxes to the white man. No matter what word we use, you're going to find some kind of slick way to combat it. But the fact is, if you look at the state of the world, and if you say that the white man is the ruler of the world currently, and you look at the state of the world, then you know that the world is a reflection of the system. If the world is sick, then the system is sick. We can't afford to depend on the slave master, on the oppressor, on the devil, on whatever word you want to use. Just fill in the blank. Because let's not focus on words. We can't stand when we focus on words because words are limiting. They're limited in their ability to bring across a point. That's why every single religion, every ideology is debatable. And you notice I said ideologies too, including Darwin, evolution. Okay? So it ain't just religion, it's also ideology. Well, I'm an atheist. No, I'm a real atheist. You ain't a real atheist. I'm a Christian. I'm a real Christian. You ain't a real Christian. I'm a Muslim. I'm a real Muslim. You ain't a real Muslim. So words confuse the planet. As we stated before, there's a Buddhist scripture that says that the whole world is tormented by words. And until people fully understand the purpose of words, will they be free from words? So we just want to say that the system is a broken system. It's a limited system. Okay? The people that rule the system are sick. They're the devil. They're satanic. They're in tuaku. Whatever word you want to use. A system is broken. So within this system, you cannot depend on the rulers. Because the rulers are sick and they do things to harm you, to harm themselves, to harm the air, to harm the water, to harm the animals, the plants, that even they have to eat, the water that they have to drink, the air that they have to breathe. Very simple. You cannot be dependent. Now, many of you think you're not dependent. For whatever reason, you ain't dependent because you got money. You still are spending your money within the confines of the white man's system. That money is still helping to sustain and maintain racism, white supremacy. You say, well, I'm better off than the rest of these Negroes over here because I eat vegetables and they eat cows and pigs. You sound like a damn fool. What eating properly is going to do is going to keep you, the positive side of that, it's going to keep you alive to continue to bang on the beast and help to tear the system of racism, white supremacy down. That's what it's going to do. But it's not going to get you into heaven, whatever that is. It's not going. You ain't going to hell because you done ate some bacon this morning. You can't say you're conscious, fully conscious, if you're still indulging in these things. But to be honest, from the perspective of the satire, you and Akahu, there's nothing that you can put in your mouth that you can be sure of in this wicked, devilish, evil, sick system. Sickleization. Nothing that you can be sure of. So again, we said it a couple of weeks ago. Don't deceive the people into thinking that if you eat bean curds all day, or kale, my favorite, just had the garlic kale, love it. But don't fool the people into just thinking that if they eat right, everything gonna be all right, because that's not the case. In fact, you don't know what you're putting in your mouth unless you're producing what you're putting in your mouth. I've said that before. I'll continue to say it. It's controversial to a lot of people. but it's a fact. We cannot depend on the enslaver, the oppressor, the devil, and tuaku, the evil, the wicked, the sick slave master. We just can't do it. This has been Daku Akab or Wakatu.